Hey, what's up? I just got these glasses, and when I say just, they literally just came in the mail, and at any moment the additional glasses case I ordered might also come. I want to talk to you about the books that I read in 2022 that I think you should read in 2023. These are my 4 and 5 stars. I'm not going to go over every 4 and 5 star. I actually was looking, and I think I gave like mostly 4 and 5 stars. I read about 60 books. I gave 9 4 stars, and it looks like I gave like 9 5 stars, which is really good, except that not all of the 5 stars I'm gonna recommend. Not all of them are worth it. I'm not gonna really recommend any nonfiction, although if you want to look at the nonfiction I read this year, you can look at the nonfiction I read this year on my Goodreads, and I think everybody should. I want to talk about novels I read this year that I think you should read next year. The first book I want to talk about is one I don't have, and it is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, which is about Alex, who is a freshman at, I still don't know, Yale. Anyway, it's about Alex. She's at an Ivy, and she's there because she has a special ability, and the ability is that she can see ghosts. She's there so that she can join a secret society, the secret society that chaperones the other secret societies that do real magic. Early on in the book, there's a murder, and Alex basically goes on this quest to find out who committed the murder, because it's like related to like the secret societies that she's supposed to stop from murdering people, and also to find her mentor, whose name I can't remember. It's okay, it's been a year. Hellbent is coming out soon, like in the next couple of weeks, so I got it for my book of the month pick, and I'm pretty excited to read it. It'll probably be sometime next year, hopefully sooner rather than later. But you know how I don't have any control over what I read next. So I thought this was a really fun, competent, and like exciting fantasy mystery novel. I think that everything about it was really fun and engaging, and it was like a good read. I really like when I read fantasy to feel like I'm in on it. Sometimes you read like really heavy science fiction and fantasy, and you kind of feel like you're on the outside of this world that you do not know anything about, and that is not the case. I would say like in the last 30 pages, it kind of falls apart for me. The reveal about who like did the murder or is the bad guy or something kind of came really way too fast for me. And the other thing I would say about it is like in the moments where it's trying to make like a big statement about how powerful rich people can do whatever they want, is not like particularly well done. And because it tries to be really deep about it, not because I don't think that's true, and I don't think that it's worth to write novels about it. I just think it would have been more effective if she had like pulled back a little, you know what I mean? But other than that, it's a really fun novel. I think that if you were looking for like a mystery novel with like fantasy elements and kind of like dark academia, then I definitely recommend this one. University Thugs by Free Chef. I heard about this on the Blogged and Reported podcast in January. It was episode 97 with the author. Basically about, or loosely based on, events that happened to him and his friends in 2003-2004 school year. The main character is Titus. He's like an ex-felon. He was involved with a gun charge, and he was in jail, and he's coming back to finish his senior year, and one of their roommates, Vani, who's Korean American and African American, they're both like trying to make it to the finish line and of their senior year, and it's pretty sad, and just like a really interesting book that I don't really know how to describe, but I think it is definitely worth the read. I also think that one thing I will say about it is like it has a very unconventional writing style, so it doesn't have quotation marks, like a dialogue broken out in any way, like at all. Like sometimes you'll see dialogue in novels without quotation marks, and people have a hard time reading this. This is harder because they're all in the same paragraph, so they're not broken out at all, so it takes like a little bit to like start like cruising with your reading, you know what I mean? But I'm glad I read it, you know what I mean? The Scorpio Races by Maggie Stiefvater. I am a Maggie Stiefvater fan. There's no two ways about it. This is about what actually is the name of our main character? Our main character, Puck, and they live on this island where there are water horses, and that they're just horses that come out of the water, and they eat people. They're like carnivorous animals, and people race them at the end of the year for money. Sure, why not? They live on an island, horses come out of the water and eat people, and you may be thinking, why don't you just move? Oh, well, that is exactly what Puck's oldest brother is thinking. Why don't I just move? Because last year, her parents were killed by horses. One of the water horses, I kind of don't remember. I did listen to this on audiobook, which is a problem for me with detail retention. Maggie Stiefvater's writing, her ability to make characters who have complexities and like are weird and funny and like interesting and sympathetic, unmatched. But her prose is everything to me. Her prose, her atmosphere, her settings, it is everything to me. Sean Kendrick is the kind of main character, love interest guy that I would have been obsessed with when I was 16, 17 years old. I'm 26 though, so I was not obsessed with him. I like him a lot. I think he's really cool and fun. The kind of guy that you should be obsessed with if you're 17 years old in a book, not in real life. But he's not taking up my brain space. You know who is taking up my brain space despite my best efforts? Puck's older brother. Gabe, I'm obsessed with him. He's so sad. Maggie, question. Would you please explain what you put in the older brothers of your characters that make them like crack to me? Thank you so much for your time answering my question. The other book I'm going to tell you about is Catherine House, which I already talked about at great length, which is about Inez, who's our main character. And she goes to this like fancy accelerated college, like a tragedy. I think the thing about the tragedy is I don't know exactly what Inez is running from. People do not like Catherine House. I gave it 5 stars. I love the prose. I love the feel and the tone. I love the way that like the characters feel really trapped. I love the way Inez doesn't even realize she feels so trapped. Like until the very end. I'm obsessed with Catherine House. I don't think I'm ever gonna have the words to describe Catherine House. It is not what like people really try to explain Catherine House, but I'm not going to. It is not what you think. It is completely bizarre. It is really kind of sad and heavy, and I think everybody should read it, but I think you should read it with an open mind. It doesn't have very much of a plot, but it's like if you went to college, I went to college, and you only remembered like being sad when you were in college and not any of the fun things that you did in college. And then you remembered some of the fun things, but you were really sad the whole time you were remembering. So exactly the way that I remember college. A lot of work that I kind of didn't do very much of. A lot of feeling like you weren't learning anything. And then like at the end, you were like, why did I do all that work? And then like being sad a lot of the time. And then still being like, I do not want to leave when it gets down to it. I don't know how to describe Catherine House. I want people to read it. I also have to acknowledge I don't know that people are like it, but I still think you should read it. It's really cool. It's Catherine House by Elizabeth Thomas. Return of the Thief by Megan Millen Turner. And this is the 6th and final book in the Queen's Thief series. I need every single living human being to read the Queen's Thief series. I want to tell you, I do not know what my favorite book in the Queen's Thief series is. I think it's still The Thief. This book is the conclusion, and it is like, I want to say everything you could have hoped for if you were like a longtime reader of this series. And I don't know. I really think you should read it. It's edifying. This is good. This is a new character. This is really interesting because it does get really close and personal with Jen again, but like not in the way that The Thief is, and not even in the way like parts of King of Attolia or even like A Conspiracy of Kings are. And that's what I want. You know what I mean? Like this. I love this. I gave it 5 stars. It took me a long time though. Like the theme of this year is that everything took me a really long time to read, and it's sad. It's unacceptable. Read the Queen's Thief series. Read it. You should read the Queen's Thief series. Looking for more like bizarre, semi-science fiction, short novels. This is about Lois, who is from Michigan, and she was working a tech job in Michigan, and then she got recruited by a Silicon Valley company that makes like really advanced robots and AI to power these robots, and she is working on the proprioception team. So that's like how you know where your body is in space for these robots, because they're like literally robot arms that are supposed to take like unpleasant manual labor jobs and some that require fingies. Cooking is the one that it features the most in this book called Sourdough by Robin Sloan. Words that are coming out of my mouth do not describe it. They're factual about what happens in this book and cannot begin to describe how I feel about this book. So Lois is in San Francisco. She left like all of her friends and her family in Michigan to come work at this tech firm that's like very intense, very focused. Like everybody there drinks the green juice, and as all of their nutrition is in like this powder, slurry powder. I don't know. I feel like I'm getting like science fiction mixed up in my brain. And she likes everybody there. She lives in San Francisco in the Bay Area, and she's like happy at her job and she likes doing it, but it's exhausting. And she orders from this random restaurant, and they make sourdough and spicy soup, and she like orders from them every night so that like she becomes really close with the brothers, especially one of the brothers in particular. And when they have to leave America, they have to leave because of visa issues, they give her a sourdough starter, and they're like, you just have to feed it, and it likes music. And in the process of making the sourdough, she gets like more involved with her role at her job, and she also gets involved in like this science fiction farmers market where they're like making advancements in food technology. Things get kind of out of control, and at the end, you know, she reins it in. This is like such a bizarre little book, and I'm so glad I read it, and I want every single person I know to read this book. It is so funny. It's not like laugh out loud funny, but it's like funny and like really hopeful, and it just plays with the tension between like progress and hubris, like the exact right amount, so that it doesn't deal with like cynicism about technology or like human ambition at all. And I just like think that it's kind of really refreshing to read a book that is about technology and about like old world like tradition, to be devoid of any like real cynicism. Like there are not really any villains in this book. Like the sourdough starter itself isn't even really a villain, and I just like it's about working with your hand. I like this book so much. Like, I work in tech. I mean, I work in the finance side of tech, and like the company I work for is a little weird because it's not like strictly a technology company, but it has a lot of that like tech company culture. I do live on the East Coast, but like it's got a lot of the same vibes, and I feel like part of the reason that I really like this book is because I really feel that I'm in a really similar stage of my life as Lois, and I'm working in different conditions because I'm not in technology, so I'm not coding and I'm not building technology. But I really feel like I really feel very drawn to her. I think I like a main character who isn't like cynical about the world. I love reading a main character who's my age and feels that way about life, because that's what life is like. Sometimes you're like, I can't believe this is the way things are, and then you're like, wait, actually I was just hungry for real food, and then you have some and you're like, oh my god, incredible. She doesn't get poisoned by the sourdough. The sourdough doesn't take over her brain or anybody's brain. It gets like weird science fiction-y in a way that turned me off science fiction for most of my life at the very end, and then like that's enough. It's like, we solved it. We figured it out. Read widely, read weird books, read books that are unexpected, and let me know what your favorite book of the year was, and if you think I should read it. I'm gonna add it to my TBR jar, and maybe I'll get to it one day. Bye.